Secrets Beneath Gilgo Beach, Part 2. The last sound on that recording still echoes in the minds of everyone who's heard it. Shannon's terrified voice, the rustle of reeds, the faint splash of water. Then, nothing. For years, that silence was the only clue. But now, after more than a decade, something new has surfaced. It started with a storm. October 2024. A hurricane brushed past Long Island, tearing up dunes, flooding basements, and unearthing the marshlands near Oak Beach. When the waters receded, locals found what looked like a fragment of old plastic tangled in seaweed. It wasn't garbage. It was a cell phone. Cracked, weathered, but still intact enough for serial numbers to be traced. And when police ran those numbers, hearts stopped. It was Shannon Gilbert's phone. The phone everyone believed was lost forever. Forensics teams rushed in. They dried the device, extracted what little data remained. But what they found inside was more than anyone expected. 2 voice memos, one labeled simply help, the other, timestamped at 5:17 a.m., the morning she vanished, labeled Peter. The audio was distorted, full of static. But under the noise, a male voice could be heard, low, calm, deliberate, saying her name, over and over. Shannon, come back, you're okay. Then a thud, a splash, a scream. Detectives froze. That voice, so familiar, so precise. They ran it through voice analysis software, comparing it against all known suspects. The results? 94% match. Dr. Peter Hackett, the man who swore he'd never seen her, the man who lied about calling her mother, the man who lived less than a quarter mile from where her body was found. But here's where it gets strange. Hackett died in 2022, a quiet death. Heart attack. No charges ever filed. Case closed, until now. When police raided his old property after the new recording surfaced, they expected nothing. But behind a false wall in his basement, they discovered something chilling. A locked trunk. Inside, old medical supplies, handwritten notes, cassette tapes, and a Polaroid photograph. The photo showed a young woman standing in front of a dune fence. Her face half turned, eyes wide, as if caught by surprise. On the back of the photo, in shaky handwriting, number 11. There were only 10 known victims officially linked to the Long Island serial killer. Who was number 11? Detectives scoured missing persons files. No match. Facial recognition failed. But then, an investigator noticed something else in the photo's background. The same style of burlap sack used to wrap the Gilgo victims, half buried behind her. Suddenly, the case everyone thought was finally nearing closure exploded open again. Hackett was dead, but someone else had been there. Someone who knew how to hide. Someone who might have carried on his work or covered it up. The investigation pivoted back to the very people who'd been investigating all along. In 2011, when the original task force was active, one detective, now retired, had grown unusually close to the case. He knew the families, attended vigils, gave emotional interviews. His name, Lieutenant Kevin Morse. For years, he'd been the department's most vocal advocate for justice. But when reporters dug into Hackett's phone records, they found something buried deep. A call made 2 days after Shannon's disappearance to a number registered under Morse's wife's name. When confronted, Morse brushed it off as a coincidence, a clerical error. But then investigators subpoenaed financial records. And that's when the truth began to bleed through. Payments, wire transfers. Large sums sent from a dummy corporation connected to Hackett's old pain management clinic. Payments deposited into accounts controlled by Morse's brother-in-law. The money moved quietly, monthly, like clockwork, until 2015. A partnership hidden in plain sight. The question wasn't just who killed these women. It was who protected the man who did. Morse resigned the next day. The department went into lockdown. Reporters flooded Oak Beach. Families of the victims demanded answers, shouting through tears that they'd been right all along. The police had been part of it. But then, in the chaos, another clue surfaced, this time from the evidence vault. A mislabeled envelope, untouched since 2011. Inside was a fragment of burlap, and on it, a partial fingerprint. At the time, it hadn't matched anyone. But technology had improved since then. When they reran the print, the system lit up. It wasn't Rex Heuermann. It wasn't Hackett. It wasn't Morse. It was someone who'd never been on the radar. A woman. Her name, Colleen Breen, age 48, former Suffolk County crime scene technician. Assigned to the Gilgo investigation from the very start. When police went to question her, she was gone. Her home abandoned, her car left at a rest stop in Riverhead, trunk empty except for a single object, a voice recorder, identical to the one found with Hackett's things. The last recording on it was less than 10 seconds long. A man's voice. "You shouldn't have called them, Colleen." Then static. Now, the narrative shifted again. Theories erupted. Maybe Hackett wasn't the killer. Maybe he was an accomplice or a scapegoat. Maybe someone higher up had been orchestrating everything from the shadows, using the chaos to cover their own crimes. Investigators started re-examining all the original evidence, DNA samples, witness statements, phone records, and what they uncovered next blew the entire case apart. Some of the burner phones used by the killer hadn't been purchased anonymously. One was bought with a prepaid card, funded by a government account tied to the Suffolk County Police Department. For months, the killer had been using department resources to stalk and communicate with victims. The horror wasn't just that a serial killer was on the loose, it was that he may have been wearing a badge. By late 2024, new indictments were quietly being prepared. Leaked memos hinted at an internal conspiracy, a cover-up that stretched back more than a decade. But before the documents could be released, the unthinkable happened. A fire broke out at the Suffolk County Evidence Storage Facility. 3 alarms, 30,000 square feet gone in minutes. The section containing Gilgo Beach evidence, completely destroyed. Fire officials called it accidental. Investigators weren't so sure. The public was furious. Families were devastated. Reporters smelled blood. And somewhere, buried beneath the smoke, someone was still orchestrating the story. A month later, an anonymous email hit the inboxes of multiple journalists. It contained a single attachment, a short, grainy video file. The footage appeared to be from a police body camera, date-stamped December 2010. Night vision mode. The frame showed marsh reeds swaying in the wind. Then, a flashlight beam. 2 figures dragging something wrapped in burlap toward a patch of sand. A woman's muffled voice in the distance, crying, begging. The men stop. One looks at the camera, his face clearly visible. Lieutenant Kevin Morse. But here's the catch. The footage was never filed. No report, no log entry, no record it ever existed. When authorities tried to verify its authenticity, the metadata showed the file had been uploaded from a public library computer in Montauk, just hours before the sender's account disappeared. Morse, now under investigation, released a statement proclaiming his innocence. He claimed the footage was doctored, part of a smear campaign by rogue elements in the department. But a week later, he vanished. His car found abandoned near the Robert Moses Causeway, driver's side door open, keys still in the ignition. Inside the glove compartment, a note scrawled on the back of a police citation. "They made me watch. I couldn't stop it." Since then, no one's seen him. And still, the story spirals. Every clue only deepens the mystery. Each revelation points in a new direction. The victims' families, after decades of grief, find themselves caught between relief and rage. Because now, it isn't just about catching a killer. It's about exposing a system built on secrets, corruption, and silence. A journalist named Dana Rowe has become the loudest voice digging into it all. Her investigative podcast, The Dunes, has gone viral. In one episode, she reads leaked transcripts of internal police interviews. In another, she reveals that a second storage facility, one used by an evidence contractor, may still hold untouched boxes from the case. But on the morning she was scheduled to release Part 10, Dana's apartment door was found ajar, her laptop still recording. Her last words on tape, "I think I've found the 12th victim." Then, footsteps, a knock, a man's voice, "You need to stop talking." Silence. Police labeled it a disappearance. Fans called it something else, a warning. Online forums exploded. TikTok theories spread like wildfire. Some claimed Dana had staged her own vanishing to draw attention to the case. Others believed she'd found something too dangerous to publish. In the weeks that followed, users began receiving anonymous messages with attachments, images of the Gilgo shoreline, taken at night. Some showed what looked like fresh dig sites. One image, zoomed in, revealed something unmistakable, a red scarf tied to a wooden stake. That same scarf was seen in the background of one of Dana's earlier posts. And then another bombshell. A construction crew widening a drainage canal near the Ocean Parkway uncovered a sealed steel container submerged in mud. Inside, 3 ID badges, a revolver, and a single evidence bag, numbered and labeled in handwriting that matched Colleen Breen's. Inside that bag, a strand of hair. DNA results came back within 24 hours. It wasn't from any known victim. It wasn't from Hackett. It wasn't from Huerman. It matched someone else, Shannon Gilbert. But the hair wasn't hers. It was from under her fingernails, meaning before she died, she fought back. For the first time in years, there was proof. Shannon had encountered her killer face to face, and whoever he or she was, they were still out there. The final twist came weeks later, buried in a leaked memo from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. It described a psychological profile of the perpetrator, a meticulous planner, intelligent, socially adept, likely with law enforcement experience, motivated by control and fear of exposure. Then came the line that made readers' blood run cold. Subject is believed to have reinserted himself into the investigation, likely participating in media efforts or public memorials. Meaning the killer could be one of the people leading the charge for justice. Maybe even one of the grieving family advocates seen on camera for years. The same voices demanding answers could be the ones hiding the truth. That realization changed everything. The web wasn't just tangled, it was alive. The predator wasn't a ghost haunting the dunes. He was in plain sight, feeding on the story's immortality. And somewhere out there, he's still watching. Because on Halloween night, a video appeared on a private Telegram channel linked to true crime enthusiasts. A shadowed figure stands on the beach, the camera shaking in the wind. He says nothing for 30 seconds. Then he speaks, calm, low, familiar. You're getting warmer. Then the screen goes black. Note, 2 days later, the same channel uploaded GPS coordinates. They led to a marsh behind Gilgo Beach. When police arrived, they found a single item buried in the sand, a new burlap sack, still empty, fresh rope, fresh footprints, and a single line carved into the wood of a nearby fence. Number 12.